This learning is Le'ili Nishmas Broya Bas Chananya, Meseches Demai, Perek Beis, Mishna. In the previous Mishnah, we learned that even though generally a person who sells Demai has to separate the Meisers, but nevertheless, if the person who's selling Demai is selling an item that's sold in large amounts where the profit is very little, so if they're selling it to a Talmud Chacham, so then the buyer has to separate the Meisers. And our Mishnah teaches about this that Rabbi Meir says, Es shedarke li'imodid begasa umedode bedaka, if there's something which is usually sold in large amounts, but this seller is selling it in small amounts. So the halacha is that tfela daka lagasa, the small amount is tafel secondary to the large amount, meaning we don't look at this person that he's selling it in small amounts, but rather we say, since it's usually sold in large amounts, so always, whether it's being sold in large amounts or in small amounts, the buyer has to separate the meisers. And eshedarke li modid bedaka or modid bagasa, and something which is usually sold in small amounts, and this person sells it in large amounts, so the halacha is tfei lagasa ladaka. The large amount is tafel secondary to the small amount, meaning we don't look at this person who sells it in large amounts, but rather we say, since this item is usually sold in small amounts, so whether a person sells it in small amounts or large amounts, the seller has to separate the meisers. The Mishnah continues, Ezuhimid the gasa, what's considered a large amount? So it depends. Biyavish, if it's something which is dry, so then it's shleishes kabin, 3 kabin, which is a certain measurement. Uvelach, and if it's a liquid, so over there it doesn't go by a measurement because the price would fluctuate, but rather it goes by the amount of money that it's sold by. If it's sold for a dinner, so then it's considered a large amount. And the Mishnah concludes, Rabbi Yesi says, Sale te'enim, baskets of figs, Vesale anovim, and baskets of grapes, Vekupais shel yarak, and boxes of vegetables. So kolzman shu meichran achsra, if the person doesn't sell it based on the exact amount of figs, grapes, and vegetables, but rather he sells it based on an estimation of what's there. So since then the seller has to reduce the price because it's not an exact amount, and so the seller is not making a lot of profit. So then the halacha is that the seller is exempt from separating the meisers, and the buyer will have to separate the meisers.